Dems caught in tough Trump districts are coming out for impeachment. Alyssa Slotkin from my home state of Michigan laid it all on the line at a town hall meeting, explaining her vote in the face of some pretty fierce protesters. Also, Josh Gottheimer from New Jersey came out against the president in his tough Trump district too. Whatever happens to them on Election Day, history will probably judge these members as profiles of courage. On our show, we'll take a look at Democrats' online rules to combat social media disinformation. It looks like Congress and the White House will avoid another budget shutdown, and Boeing takes a hard pass on the 737 MAX. I'm Jamal Simmons. Here's why you should care. Yesterday, Democrats issued tips to candidates and state parties to combat online disinformation. The party, which was the victim of a Russian hacking attack in 2016, put the guidance out to help other Democrats combat false information that has been popping up online and social media and alternative news sites. The New York Times reported yesterday that users shared the top 100 false stories more than 2.3 million times in the first 10 months of 2019. That's according to Avaz, a global human rights organization. Bob Lord, the Democrats' chief security officer, expressed concern that the DNC can't combat all these falsehoods on its own, though it's trying. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee is also paying attention. They recently flagged online ads targeting Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, brought them to the attention of her campaign. According to the DNC guidance, candidates and party organizations should first of all appoint a point person to focus on combating falsehoods, have an incident response plan, and be aggressive in correcting the record and reframing the debate, and report suspicious online behavior. According to The Hill, the DNC also recommends that public check sources, bring truth to debates, and study the methods of those distributing this information. The DNC also encourages social media companies to be transparent about their algorithms and develop stronger policies on false information. You remember Facebook got in some hot water recently for saying that it won't release information from politicians. Twitter recently stopped all political advertising on its platform. Here's why you should care. Social media is increasingly where Americans get their information. According to Morning Consult, 76% of Americans log on to Facebook at least once a week. Americans need to be vigilant, but politicians should recognize there is no referee. Perhaps the only way to fight the fire of disinformation is with a brighter fire of good information. Lawmakers are looking to dish out the cash in a whopping $1.4 trillion spending package for the next year. Details of the deal were released yesterday, and the House is expected to take it to a vote before sending them to the Senate for passage, and of course getting the president's signature before Friday's shutdown deadline. According to the Hill House Appropriations Committee Chairwoman Nita Lowey said this: "I'm pleased that we have reached a bipartisan agreement that will keep the government open, provide the certainty of full-year funding, and make strong investments in key priorities for American communities." There's a lot in this spending bill for you to care about. One thing we should point out is the $25 million allotted for gun violence research at the Centers for Disease Control and National Institutes of Health. Surprisingly, that provision makes this bill the first time Congress will fund gun violence research in decades. Some other noteworthy items: Congress would raise the legal age of purchasing tobacco to 21. It would permanently repeal several of the Affordable Care Act's taxes. It would also allow about 100,000 coal miners to see their pensions and health care strengthened in the bill. And what about Trump's border wall? The reason for the government shutdown last year? The legislation denies President Trump the full $5 billion for the border wall he was seeking, but instead keeps that funding to $1.37 billion. We talked to Shalonda Young, who's the first African-American staff director on the House Appropriations Committee, and she's at the table while these negotiations are happening at the White House. Here's what she told us about her role.
I get to help steer federal government spending year after year after year, and help direct $1.3 trillion a year for everything from state operations and diplomacy to how we defend our country to how we help people who don't have enough money to send their children to school. So it's a large breadth of things I get to do, but it's interesting and different every day.
And you can see more of that interview at the link below. The holiday season is well underway, and this year, nearly 48 million people are expected to fly. We can't guarantee that holiday dinner will go off without a hitch, but one thing we can confirm, travelers won't be boarding any Boeing 737 MAX planes this holiday season, and not at any point in the near future either. That's because Boeing announced on Monday that it's stopping production of the aircraft in January as the company waits for the planes to be recertified. As you might recall, all 737 MAX planes were grounded in March after two major fatal accidents, one in 2018 when a Lion Airjet nosedived into the Java Sea, and the second in 2019 when an Ethiopian Airlines plane crashed near Ethiopia's capital, killing 346 people. Since those tragic crashes, Boeing, the maker of the 737 MAX, took a financial hit, and its credibility was dinged too. Despite regulators taking the planes out of the sky and orders coming to a complete stop until last month, Boeing continued making new planes in hopes the recertification process would pick up again. You know what? It hasn't. And with 400 planes sitting idly in storage, the company decided it was time to put on the brakes indefinitely, with no clear indication from the company as to when it will continue. Now, why should you care about all this? Boeing and the FAA were in the hot seat last week when officials testified before the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. They were surrounded by families and friends of those who lost their lives during the crashes. The hearing shed light on the fact that Boeing failed to heed pleas to ground the planes after internal concerns were raised. When companies fail to keep up with safety standards and checks, there are consequences. In worst-case scenarios, innocent people pay the price. Tell me, would you want to fly on one of these planes? Thanks for watching Hill TV on YouTube. Be sure to click subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we post new videos. And head to thehill.com for all the latest political news.